Hi everyone and welcome to today's Mathematics Monday. Today we're doing a homework help question that a student sent in, which was, how do I solve 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication problems when they're in the vertical method that looks like this? A lot of students get taught other methods and sometimes those other methods click better for learners, but we also need to know how to use this method because it does come up in assessment sometimes. So if you haven't solved this type of problem before, I hope you learned something today. If you've done it before and you just want a refresher, then welcome. I hope this is helpful in that way as well. Either way, I think the best thing to do to get the most out of this video is to grab a pencil and some paper yourself and get ready to solve it along with me. Okay, let's get started. You'll notice that my face isn't on the video today because I really want you to be focusing on what I'm writing on the screen. So here's our problem, 25 times 46. And one of the very first things I would suggest that students do with any kind of problem that they're solving in maths is to make an estimate. Okay, so I'll just write that word up here. So we're going to estimate what would a reasonable answer look like. Now, 25 is not an easy number to round. 46 is also pretty close to the middle, but if I round 46 up to the nearest 10, I've got a 6 here, so I'm going to round up. We'll do some talking about rounding another time, but when the number in that last column is 5 or bigger, and we're rounding to the nearest 10, then we round up. And same with 25, we'd actually be rounding that up as well. So this is going to be a very high estimate because we're not really doing numbers as big as 30 times 50. But then what I might do is say, well, I know that 3 times 5, I know the answer to that. And even if I don't know my times tables, I can think about that in a familiar counting pattern like 5, 10, 15. That's 3 lots of 5. That gives me 15. And then I've got a 0 here and a 0 here, so I'm going to put both those onto the end of my 15. That's how we can multiply out nice and easily. We're multiplying by 10 and then multiplying by another 10, which gives us 100, 2 zeros. So my answer is going to be something like that. Now, I know that in both those cases, I rounded up. Okay, so I rounded that up and I rounded that up. So I would expect that this is going to be a high estimate, that my answer should be below. Now, let me make a little note here. So I think that means my answer should be is going to be less than 1,500 and probably greater than, maybe if we said 40 times 20, that'd be greater than 800. So it's probably going to be somewhere around that, okay, but close. So if I get an answer that has 6 digits in it, I know I've gone way too far and done something wrong. If I get an answer which is much smaller, maybe that's a hint to me that I have forgotten to do something when I was solving the problem. And so my place values maybe aren't in the right place or something like that, okay? So estimating it first is a really good little way to make sure that you're going to be in the zone around the right answer. Okay, so I'll just write my estimate up here. It's a high estimate, so I'd expect my answer to be lower, okay? But around that, just to remind myself. Okay, now I'm looking at these numbers again, and one of the things that I want you to understand when we're solving this problem is that we're looking at different place values in these numbers. So, pick a different color here, pick orange. This number here and this number here, they're in the ones or the units column. Okay. And then the other two numbers in this number, they're in the tens. Okay, in the decimal system. So we're moving out from 10 times the ones will give us a 10. If we had 10 lots of 10, we'd move into 100 and so forth. Okay. So now that we're looking at these numbers and thinking about the fact that we have tens and ones, what we can do is actually partition the number a little bit. So I'm going to partition the 46 at the bottom and make that the one that I'm going to break up into 2 parts. This question would actually probably be easier if we solved it the other way, because you might be more familiar with your multiplication tables for the 2s and the 5s. But either way, we're going to get the same answer. So what I'll do, so I've got my 46, okay, and I'm going to break that up into its 2 parts. So how many 1s do I have? I have 6 1s. How many 10s? I have 4 10s, which means it's 40. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm doing 6 lots of this number above, and I'm doing 40 lots of this number above. And when we put them together, we call it 46, but I can actually work it out that way. So now I understand that I'm breaking my 46 into my 2 parts. I'm going to go to the next screen and we're going to learn how to solve this. Okay, so remember I broke my 46 into 2 parts. So to start solving, we're going to draw our solving lines. And this is something we need to do with this sort of problem. We're going to put a dotted line here in the middle. We're going to do 2 different solves here. We're going to start with, and I'll choose a different color just to keep it nice and clear for you. Okay, we'll do the purple around my 1s. Okay, and then this line here in my solve is going to be where I'm going to do my 1s. So let's do that first. I'm going to multiply my 1 6 times 5 and 6 times 2 to give me 6 times 25. So we do that like this. We say 6 times 5, and we know that we can count in 5s if we don't know the answer to that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So 6 times 5 equals 30. I'm going to put down the 0 for that, and then I'm going to carry the 3 up here because I've got 3 extra 10s to add on. So I've got nothing in the 1s and I've got 3 10s. Now I'm going to do 6 times 2 because I'm going to do 6 times the 20. So 6 times 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 6 times 2 is 12. I'm going to remember that I also have, so I have 12 10s, but I also have this 3 up here that I have to add on, which adds to 15, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now you'll see that I'm carefully keeping my place value here. I've got all my 1s under each other, I've got all my 10s under each other, and now I've added a 100s column, a hundreds column here, and I've got 1 in the hundreds so far. So 6 times 25 is 150, okay? I worked that out by doing 6 times 5, which was 30, putting the 1s part of that into the 1s column, putting the 3s part over in the 10s, and then I did my 6 times 2, worked that out for my 1s column times my 10s column there, and then that was 12, and then I added on my extra 3 10s that I had hanging around from the first part, put them together and made 15, and I've got them in here now. Change my color here to solve the 10s. So let's make those a nice blue, hey? Let's do that. All right. So for my 10s, I'm going to use the blue. And because I'm jumping over here, I've finished in the 1s column, and all the things I'm going to be doing now from now on relate to this 10s column. I'm going to put myself a 0 here in the 1s column because nothing is going to be in the 1s. We're going to start with 10 times each of these things. So the reason that we put the 0 here is because we're jumping over with the second line, we're jumping straight into the 10s column. So there will be no 1s there. We're jumping straight into the 10s, just to make that really clear. Okay, do the same thing again. This time we're doing the 4 though, so we do 4 times 5. We can count in 5s again. 5, 10, 15, 20. So I'm going to put down that 0, just like I did before. I'll just cross that out so we don't forget, don't accidentally get confused. We've got a 2 over here now, 20. In fact, I probably wouldn't even put that there. I would put it up here, okay? Looks a bit messy. I'll get rid of those extra scribbles for you, but yeah, that's how that needs to be. And now we're coming back down here to 4 times 2. Just 10 4s. So 40 times 2 10s, which is 20. So 40 times 20, or 4 times 2. Okay, and we have the extra 2 to add on. So 8 plus 2 more gives me 10. So when I said 40 times 20, that's what we were actually doing, but we could work it out as 4 times 2 because we were already over here moving into these columns. So I already had my zeros or my tens and my ones sorted out. So I could bump over here and just think about it as 4 times 2 because my other place values were already included. Okay, so we were already moving into those place values of the hundreds and the thousands over here. So that must mean that 40 lots of 25 is 1,000. And now what I've got is I've got my, I'll get another color just so we can really clearly see what I'm doing here. Now I've got my 1s times 25, which is this bit here. And I've got my 10s times 25, which is this bit here. But what do we do now? I've got them broken up. And I haven't been able to put them back together yet. So I've got my 1s and I've got my 10s. But I can't write the answer as those two parts, can I? So what am I going to do? I'm going to have to add them back together. So that's what I'm going to do last. Now that I've worked out the 10s and the 1s, I'm going to do addition to put them two parts that I broke apart back together. So in my 1s column, I have 0 plus another 0, which is 0. I have 5 plus 0, which is 5. I have 1 plus 0, which is 1. And I have nothing up here in the thousands column and just the 1,000. So 1,150. Let's go back and have a look at what our estimate was up here in the corner. We thought the answer would be around 1,500, but definitely less than that. And our answer of 1,150 definitely fits within that expected range. So that is how we work out that answer. Now I want to show you, I'll just pop in a new slide and just show you how we might actually start that problem to help you remember some of the steps we've done today. So if I got that question, $25 times 46, I might set my page up like this. First of all, I'll make sure that I'm doing my place values one above the other in the right place. So my 1s will be above the 1s and my 10s will be above the 10s, and grid paper can help with that. Then I'm going to do my solving lines and I'm going to split it up to remind myself that I want to solve the 1s first, and then I want to solve the 10s. And then to remind myself that the second line is bumping over to the 10s, I'll actually put my 0 underneath there in the 1s column. And I'm going to put a little plus sign over here to remind myself right at the beginning that I need to do that step at the end, so I won't forget. Then if these problems up here, if these multiplications are a little bit more tricky than the ones we looked at today, and you have to stop thinking about solving the whole problem for a minute while you work out each of the individual facts and then come back, well, at least you have already reminded yourself and you won't forget to do something important in one of the steps here because you've set yourself up with some reminders in the structure. Okay, so use that as a bit of a model to yourself when you're solving. You can go back and do different colors like we did here, make the 1s one color and the 10s another color, and then solve in a different color if that helps you as well. Some people are very visual like that. And yeah, I hope that's really helpful. Please feel free to send me through any other questions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I've been told you have to hit the notifications button, the bell, if you'd like to actually be notified when new videos go up. So make sure you do that too. Subscribe to the channel though, so that you don't miss what's coming, or you can easily see it. If you do log into YouTube, it'll pop up there at the beginning of your feed. And I'd love your comments to let me know whether this has been helpful. And if you have any questions, I'm really happy to answer those as well. So pop them in there as well. Thank you so much, guys. I'll talk to you on Thursday with English homework help. Bye.